You know that feeling, don't you? The quiet pause before you raise your hand. The moment you rehearse the question in your head, wondering if it's smart enough to be asked. The draft of an email you write and then delete, or the idea you have and immediately qualify with, this might be stupid. But we are all, in 1,000 invisible ways, waiting for permission. We are waiting for the right degree, the right job title, the right person to discover us, the right moment when we finally feel ready, the right sign from the universe that says, yes, you may begin. I am here to tell you that the sign is not coming. The permission slip you are waiting for was never written, and the gatekeeper you imagine is standing between you and your dream is an empty chair. The most radical thing you can do with your life is to realize that you were born authorized. Think about the things that truly matter to you. The book you want to write, the business you want to start, the conversation you need to have, the love you are afraid to express, the art you feel compelled to make. No one is going to knock on your door and commission your deepest personal truth. No one is going to give you a certificate that says, you are now officially allowed to be great. The world operates on a simple, brutal, and ultimately liberating principle. It is often easier to get forgiveness than it is to get permission. So what does it look like to stop waiting? It means you must become the source of your own validation. You must be the one who stamps your own ideas approved. It means speaking in meetings not when you are called on, but when you have something to say. It means starting the podcast with your phone and a $10 microphone. It means publishing your writing on a free blog. It means wearing the outfit that feels like you, even if it doesn't follow the rules. It means embracing the beautiful, messy, and essential process of being an amateur. Amateurs are not afraid to be bad at something in the beginning. They are not waiting for a license to practice. They are practicing, and in doing so, they are granting themselves the license to become masters. Every time you wait, you are handing your power over to a phantom authority. You are confirming the story that you are not yet enough. But when you begin, when you take that first unsanctioned, unpolished, and courageous step, you are writing a new story. The story of a person who recognizes their own sovereignty. The most pervasive and paralyzing myth we inherit is the myth of external authorization. We are conditioned from our earliest days to seek validation from outside ourselves. We wait for a teacher to call on us before we speak. We wait for a manager to give us a title before we lead. We wait for a critic to validate our art before we call ourselves artists. This creates a lifelong habit of looking into the faces of others, searching for a reflection that tells us we are smart enough, good enough, or ready enough to begin. We become spiritual beggars, holding out our empty bowls, hoping someone will fill them with the permission we crave. But this is a fundamental error in understanding the nature of your own existence. You were not created as a draft waiting for an editor's approval. You were born as a first edition. The authority you seek was vested in you at your inception. The permission slip you are desperately waiting for was never written because it was never needed. You arrived fully authorized. This is not a metaphor. It is a functional reality. When you have an idea, the very fact that you conceived it is its justification for existing. When you feel a pull toward a certain path, that pull is the internal compass, not a request to be filed with some universal bureaucracy. The gatekeeper is a phantom, a projection of our own fears of inadequacy and judgment. We imagine a stern figure guarding the gates of our dreams because it is easier to blame a locked door than it is to admit we are afraid to turn the handle ourselves. But when you finally muster the courage to approach that gate, you find it is not locked. You find that the imposing gatekeeper is just an empty chair. The only thing that was ever truly holding you back was the story you told yourself about the lock and the guard. To internalize that you were born authorized, to experience a profound shift in agency, you stop seeing your life as a series of applications you must submit for review and start seeing it as a blank canvas upon which you have the unilateral right to paint. You move from a mindset of petition to a mindset of proclamation. You are no longer asking, may I? You are declaring, I will. This is the foundation of all true creativity and innovation. It is the understanding that the power to begin was never outside of you. It was a seed planted in your soul at the moment you became you, and it has been waiting all this time for you to simply recognize it and let it grow. The search for external validation is a hunger that can never be satisfied. It is a desert mirage, always receding just as you think you are about to reach it. We look to our bosses, our peers, our parents, and even strangers on the internet for that affirming nod, that like, that promotion, that word of praise that will finally make us feel legitimate. We outsource the most critical function of our lives, the belief in our own worth, to a fickle and often indifferent world. This creates a fragile and reactive existence, where your sense of self bobs on the turbulent ocean of other people's opinions. A single criticism can shatter you, while a compliment provides only a fleeting high, leaving you craving the next hit of approval. This cycle is exhausting and disempowering because you have made yourself a tenant in the house of your own life, constantly seeking the landlord's permission to hang a new picture on the wall. The liberating alternative is to become the source of your own validation. This is the ultimate act of personal sovereignty. It means building an internal citadel of self-worth that is unshakable by external weather. It is the decision to become the sole architect of your own self-esteem. This does not mean becoming arrogant or ignoring feedback. It means that the final verdict on your value, your ideas, and your direction comes from within. You learn to validate yourself for the effort, for the courage, for the showing up. You stamp your own ideas approved because you trust your own judgment and intuition. You become your own most supportive parent, your own most insightful mentor, and your own most loyal champion. This shift transforms your relationship with the world. You no longer enter a room asking, "Do you like me?" You enter a room knowing. You enter a room knowing, "I am here and I have something to offer." This internal foundation allows you to receive constructive criticism without crumbling, because your core identity is not up for debate. It allows you to celebrate your successes without becoming addicted to the applause, because the deepest satisfaction came from the act of creation itself. When you are the source, you are no longer a slave to the opinions of others. You are free to try, free to fail, free to succeed on your own terms. You realize that the validation you sought was never meant to be given to you. It was always meant to be generated by you. We have been sold a dangerous lie, that we must achieve a state of polished mastery before we dare to begin. We believe we need a certificate on the wall, a certain number of followers, or the flawless execution of a plan before we are qualified to step into the arena. This obsession with credentialism is the death knell of creativity and the guardian of the status quo. It keeps brilliant ideas trapped in minds, because the minds that hold them are waiting for an external stamp of approval that will never come. The most powerful antidote to this paralysis is to wholeheartedly embrace the identity of the amateur. The word amateur comes from the Latin amar, to love. An amateur is not defined by a lack of skill, but by the motivation of love. An amateur does something for the sheer joy of it, for the intrinsic reward of the act itself. This is your greatest superpower when you are starting out. Professionals are often burdened by the weight of expectation, by the fear of damaging their reputation, by the need to meet market demands. But the amateur is free. The amateur is allowed to be messy, to experiment, to make glorious and spectacular mistakes. The amateur understands that the path to mastery is not a straight line from ignorance to perfection, but a chaotic, winding, and often embarrassing journey of trial and error. When you give yourself permission to be an amateur, you disarm the critic in your head. You are no longer trying to be the best. You are simply trying. You are learning in public. You are building the plane while flying it. This mindset is liberating because it redefines failure. For the amateur, there is no failure, only feedback. A project that doesn't work isn't a catastrophe. It's a data point. A clumsy first attempt isn't a sign of inherent lack. It's the necessary and honorable first step everyone must take. The world's most revered masters were once amateurs. Every great painter once held a brush for the first time and made a messy stroke. Every legendary musician once fumbled through their first scales. They did not wait for a license to practice. They practiced, and in doing so, they granted themselves the license to become masters. By clinging to the need for expert status before you begin, you are robbing yourself of the most fertile period of your growth, the beginning. So, call yourself an amateur with pride. Start the vlog with 3 readers. Launch the business from your kitchen table. Sing the song even if your voice cracks. The amateur's journey is not one of shame, but of courage. It is the authentic, joyful, and only path to ever becoming anything of substance. We often live under the illusion that action is the reward for feeling powerful, that we must first feel confident and authorized before we can take a bold step. This is a reversal of the true, natural order. In reality, action is not the fruit of power. It is the seed. Every time you choose to wait for the perfect moment, for the right sign, for someone's blessing, you are not being patient. You are performing a quiet, daily surrender of your personal sovereignty. You are casting a vote for a narrative in which you are not the primary agent of your own life. You are confirming to your own psyche that you are a subject, not a ruler. This habitual waiting is an insidious leak of power. It reinforces the neural pathways of hesitation and self-doubt, making it easier to wait again tomorrow. Conversely, every time you take an unsanctioned, courageous action, no matter how small, you are making a sovereign declaration. You are announcing to the universe, and more importantly to yourself, that you are the source of your own authority. You are not asking for a key. You are demonstrating that you already possess it. This action, even if it fails, is a tangible deposit into your internal account of self-trust. It creates a feedback loop of empowerment. A small act of bravery builds the confidence for a slightly larger one, which in turn fuels the next. The action itself forges the state of being you are waiting for. You do not feel like a driver and then start the car. You start the car, and in the act of driving, you become the driver. You do not feel like a writer and then write a book. You write the first sentence, and in that commitment, you become the writer. Waiting is an act of self-negation. It is the active choice to be passive. Taking action, however, is the physical embodiment of your sovereignty. It is the proof that you have moved from a theoretical understanding of your own power to a functional, lived experience of it. The world responds to this shift. People are drawn to those who operate from a place of self-authorization. And opportunities begin to align with those who have proven through their actions that they are ready to receive them. The throne of your life is not a place you arrive at after a long journey of seeking permission. Each terrain. It is a position you assume by simply stopping the wait, standing up, and beginning to rule the domain that has always been yours. We have been taught to see the world as a finished museum. We walk through its halls admiring the masterpieces created by others. And we stand in quiet reverence before the paintings of great artists, the innovations of great entrepreneurs, the words of great leaders. We are taught to be quiet, to observe, to appreciate, but never to touch. We are conditioned to believe that creation is complete, that the great work has already been done by giants upon whose shoulders we are merely privileged to stand. This mindset turns us into curators of other people's genius, archivists of a history we did not write. It makes us observers of our own lives, waiting for a turn that never comes because we believe the exhibition is already full. But this is a profound and limiting illusion. The world is not a museum, it is a studio. It is not a place of passive observation, but a dynamic, messy, and infinitely expandable space for active creation. The canvases are not all occupied. There are blank ones leaning against the wall, waiting for your brush. The clay is not all sculpted. There are fresh morsels on the table, waiting for your hands. You are not a guest at this party. You are the host. You are not an audience member. You are a performer who is already on stage. You and you on stage. Your life is not a pre-written script you must follow. It is an improvisation where your next line has the power to change the entire scene. This shift in perspective, from museum goer to studio artist, is revolutionary. It means you have the right, and indeed the responsibility, to make a mess. To mix colors that shouldn't go together. To write a sentence that breaks the rules. To build a business that challenges the conventions. Your peculiar and wonderful perspective is not an unwelcome interruption to the established order. It is a vital and necessary contribution. The world does not need more perfect replicas of what already exists. It needs your unique voice, your strange ideas, your unorthodox solutions. The scratch in the record, the flaw in the gem, the unexpected chord, these are not mistakes to be hidden. They are the very fingerprints of your authenticity, the evidence that a new creator has entered the studio. So, stop tiptoeing through the galleries of life, afraid to raise your voice above a whisper. Walk into the studio, put on the apron, and get paint on your hands. The world is not a curated collection to be admired from a distance. It is a work in progress, and you are not late. You are exactly on time for your shift. It is your turn to pick up the tools and add your stroke to the endless collaborative masterpiece of human existence.